States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right in the house.
The prayer will be offered by the delegate from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Take a moment to assume whatever position you prefer for prayer, meditation, or reflection. Let us take a moment to express our gratitude for the fortunate lives we lead. And may we, in everything we do, worry about making others be as fortunate as we are. Amen.
Quorum call. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their presence? If so, the clerk will take the call. There being 123 members present, the House is now in session. If we could quiet down, please. The clerk will read the journal from the previous day.
Annapolis, Maryland, February 26, 2025.
Recognizing the Deputy Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move so much be considered the reading of the journal.
So ordered. Petitions, memorials, and other papers. House resolutions. Recognizing the delegate from Calvert County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So we have with us today some very special guests from Northern High School Varsity Women's Swim Team. We have with us coaches Margaret O'Grady, April Richards, and Karen Gallaudet, and the athletes accepting the award are Carly Damon and Audrey Randolph. The women's swim team at Northern High School won the 2024 3A, 2A, 1A MPSSAA State Championship, and this is the first time this has ever been done in the Southern Maryland region. So please welcome, applaud, and celebrate this great win from Northern High School. Thank you.
The clerk will read the resolution in full.
Be it hereby known to all that the House of Delegates of Maryland offers its sincerest congratulations to Northern High School Varsity Women's Swim Team in recognition of winning the 2024 3A, 2A, 1A MPSSAA State Championship and the first ever in the Tri-County area. The entire membership extends best wishes on this memorable occasion and directs this resolution to be presented on this 6th day of March 2025.
Recognizing the delegate from Montgomery County for a House resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today is my honor to represent, as an Omega Psi Phi man, the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Omega Psi Phi Fraternity, Inc. is the first international fraternity organized and founded on the campus of a historical black college. On the evening of November 17th, 1911, Omega Psi Phi was founded inside the Science Building, later renamed at the Howard University located in Washington, D.C. The founders were Mr. Love, Brother Cooper, Brother Coleman, and Brother Jess. From the initial start, the goals was to have friendship is essential to the soul, manhood, scholarship, preservation, and uplift. I'm a member of the Omega Psi Phi Incorporated in Montgomery County called Mu chapter. And with that, I wanted to say I'm very proud to let all of you know, all of us that are in fraternities or sororities have a line. I have a very famous line, brother. Shaq Shaquille O'Neal, that is my brother. We pledged together, so I wanted to say that. So with that, Mr. Speaker, we have at the front Mr. Cherie, Mr. William Hall, and I'm looking for, but he's not here yet, our treasurer, Derek Davis, so he'll probably be on his way. And in the Senate, we have Nick Charles. So with that, let's welcome the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, ladies and gentlemen.
Will the reading clerk please read the resolution in full?
Be it hereby known to all that the House of Delegates of Maryland offers its sincerest congratulations to Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated in recognition of your commitment to service, advocacy, and community empowerment through brotherhood. The entire membership extends best wishes on this memorable occasion and directs this resolution to be presented on this 6th day of March 2025.
Hello, ladies.
Recognizing the delegate from Calvert County for a House resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There's a lot going on in Calvert County. Good stuff. So, ladies and gentlemen of the House, please welcome the Northern High School indoor track team. On behalf of Calvert County delegation, I'm proud to present the Northern High School varsity women's indoor track team, who recently won the state championship for the 3rd time in a row. We have with us Coach Josh Dawson, and the athletes accepting the award are Gentry Bowie and Ariana Johnson. Please welcome this great team.
Will the reading clerk please read the resolution in full?
Be it hereby known to all that the House of Delegates of Maryland offers its sincerest congratulations to Northern High School varsity women's indoor track team in recognition of winning the state championship for the 3rd year in a row. The entire membership extends best wishes on this memorable occasion and directs this resolution to be presented on the 6th day of March 2025.
Quorum call. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their presence? If so, the clerk will take the call. There being 131 members present, the House is still in session. House third reading calendar number 26. The clerk will read the bill.
House Bill 1, Department of Transportation Human Trafficking Awareness, Training, and Response, See Someone, Save Someone Act.
House Bill 1 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 132 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 1, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 12, cannabis sale and distribution, tetrahydrocannabinol offenses.
House Bill 12 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 97 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 12, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 315, Task Force to Study Fiduciary Adjudication in Maryland.
House Bill 315 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 129 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 315, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 344, Maryland Environmental Service, Membership of Board of Directors alterations.
House Bill 344 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 132 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 344, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 431, Civil Actions, Consumer Contracts, Limitations, Periods.
House Bill 431 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 96 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 431, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 436, Vehicle Laws, Medical Exemption for Enhanced Tinted Windows, Time Limitation.
House Bill 436 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 135 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 436, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 720, Natural Resources, Repeal of Somers Cove Marina Commission and Improvement Fund and Alteration of Operations.
House Bill 720 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 123 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 720, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. House third reading calendar number 27. The clerk will read the first bill.
House Bill 442, Criminal Procedure, Victims and Witnesses Out of Court Statement of Child to Forensics Interviewer.
House Bill 442 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 134 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 442, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 445, Criminal Law Interference with a Public Safety Answering Point, Penalties.
House Bill 445 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 135 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 445, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 446, Natural Resources Invasive Blue Catfish Pilot Program.
House Bill 446 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 135 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 446, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 489, Maryland Department of Labor, study on building code requirements for single staircase buildings.
House Bill 489 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone wish to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 119 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 489, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 507, state contracts prohibited provisions.
House Bill 507 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 135 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 507, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 508, state procurement preferences, blind industries and services of Maryland packaging and repackaging.
House Bill 508 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone wish to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 131 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 508, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 820, health insurance utilization review, use of artificial intelligence.
House Bill 820 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 135 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 820, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Recognizing the gentleman from the Eastern Shore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to change my vote on House Bill 489 to yay.
Recognizing the delegate from Anne Arundel County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to do a vote change on House Bill 12 from yay to nay.
Recognizing the delegate from Baltimore County.
A vote change on 489 to yay, please.
Recognizing the delegate from Prince George's County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to be recognized on House Bill 508 as yay.
Recognizing the delegate from the Eastern Shore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Vote change 489 to green, please.
Recognizing the other delegate from the Eastern Shore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Vote change 489 to green and 720 to red.
Recognizing the delegate from Prince George's County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to be recognized for HB 820. My button wasn't working.
Green, red.
Green. Thank you. Green.
Any other vote changes? House third reading calendar number 28. The clerk will read the first bill.
House Bill 528, Baltimore County Vehicle Laws, Private Roadways and Residential Communities.
House Bill 528 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 135 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 528, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 609, Legislative Scholarship Programs, Eligibility and Use, Real Estate Appraisal Program.
House Bill 609 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 109 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 609, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 678, Maryland Deaf Culture, Digital Library Funding and Budget Submission.
House Bill 678 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 133 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 678, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 698, Local Government Development Impact Fees, Surcharges, and Excise Taxes Reporting.
House Bill 698 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 132 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 698, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 704, Higher Education, Maryland Graduate and Professional Scholarship Program, Eligible Institutions.
House Bill 704 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 135 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 704, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 707, Vehicle Laws, Licenses, Identification Cards, and Moped Operators Permits, Notation of Non-Apparent Disability, Eric's ID Law.
House Bill 707 is on third reading and final debate and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 134 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 707, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed.
Mr. Speaker.
Recognizing the delegate from Baltimore City.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Congratulations, Eric. House Bill 678 to green, please.
Recognizing the delegate from Anne Arundel County.
Vote change HB 678 from green to red.
Recognizing the delegate from Anne Arundel County.
Thank you. Good morning. I'd like to change my vote on House Bill 609 to green. Thank you.
Recognizing the delegate from the Eastern Shore with the striped tie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That's me. House Bill 720, I'd like to be recorded in the red.
Recognizing the delegate from the Eastern Shore with not a striped tie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was told my button didn't work on House Bill 609. That should have been recorded in the green.
Recognizing the delegate from Baltimore City.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My button wasn't working. I'd like to be recorded in the green on HB 678. Thank you.
Any other vote changes? House third reading calendar number 29. The clerk will read the first bill.
House Bill 189, Drunk Driving, Commercial Driver's Licenses, Disqualification from Driving.
House Bill 189 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? Recognizing the gentleman from the Eastern Shore.
Could the floor leader rise and just describe the bill for me so I understand what I'm voting for? Just briefly.
Committee Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The bill requires the MVA to disqualify any individual from driving a commercial motor vehicle for a period of 1 year if, while they're holding a CDL or a commercial instructional permit, they drive or attempt to drive any motor vehicle while the person's blood or breath is .08 or greater.
What's current law on the subject? What are we changing?
What we're doing is we're bringing it in line with the federal regulations that say that if you are picked up for .08 and you blow a .08, then right now the law is silent. It doesn't say anything about it. But what this is saying is if you drive any motor vehicle, whether it's your own personal car or a CDL or a commercial vehicle, that you're going to be suspended for a year if they find after you take the breath test that you blew over.
So this strengthens the safety components.
Yes.
Okay.
Is there any further debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 133 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 189, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 219, Vehicle Laws, Out-of-State Vehicles and Proper Registration.
House Bill 219 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 129 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 219, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 236, Peace Orders and Criminal Harassment, Intentional Visual Surveillance.
House Bill 236 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 135 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 236, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 292, Cooperative Housing Corporations, Condominiums, and Homeowners Associations, Funding of Reserve Accounts and Preparation of Funding Plans.
House Bill 292 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone wish to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 102 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 292, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 295, Real Property Condominiums and Homeowners Associations, Governing Bodies and Annual Meetings.
House Bill 295 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 135 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 295, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 427, State Board of Public Accountancy, Emeritus Status.
House Bill 427 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 134 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 427, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed.
Mr. Speaker.
Recognizing the delegate from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 219, I wanted to be recorded in the red. Thank you.
House third reading calendar number 30. The clerk will read the first bill.
House Bill 857, Natural Resources Pursuing Wounded Deer After Legal Hunting Hours and Using a Light, authorization.
House Bill 857 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 131 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 857, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 894, Endangered and Threatened Species Incidental Taking, Bats.
House Bill 894 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 134 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 894, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 929, Family Law Permanent Protective Orders, consent.
House Bill 929 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone wish to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 135 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 929, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 938, Continuing Care Providers, Governing Bodies, Membership.
House Bill 938 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 134 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 938, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 943, Criminal Law, Crimes of Malicious or Fraudulent Burning, Prohibitions and Penalties.
House Bill 943 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their votes? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 134 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 943, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 968, Business Regulation Licensing Definition of Storage Warehouse.
Thank you. House Bill 968 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 135 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 968, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 972, Real Estate Commission, Continuing Education Requirements Alterations.
House Bill 972 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 131 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 972, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Recognizing the delegate from Baltimore City.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My button didn't work. I'd like to change my vote. I'd like to be recorded in the yay for House Bill 894. I'd like to be recorded in the nay for House Bill 857. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Recognizing the delegate from Baltimore City.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My button didn't work on House Bill 938. I would like to be recorded in the green. Thank you.
Recognizing the majority whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Fortunately, my button did work. Just reminding everybody that if you're in your seat, you do have to vote. I know everyone is multitasking with family and day job, but please pay attention to everything going on the floor. Thank you.
Recognizing the delegate from Calvary County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 857 to read.
Recognizing the delegate from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My finger didn't work. I'd like to be recorded in the green on House Bill 972, please.
Delegate from Calvary County.
Oh, I got it wrong. House Bill 857 to green. My apologies. Jesus.
All right. Any other vote changes? Again, let's try to keep the discussions pretty quiet so we can proceed through the agenda. Thank you. House third reading calendar number 31. The clerk will read the bill.
House Bill 979, Maryland Self-Service Storage Act, sale of personal property and satisfaction of lien notice requirements.
House Bill 979 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 133 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 979, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 1010, African American Heritage Preservation Program and Grant Fund, non-capital grants and donations.
House Bill 1010 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 133 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 1010, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 1020, Consumer Protection Credit Reporting Medical Debt Fair Medical Debt Reporting Act.
House Bill 1020 is on third reading and final passage.
Mr.
Is
Speaker.
there any debate? Yes, recognizing the gentleman from Anne Arundel County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the floor leader or the bill sponsor help me understand what this bill does?
Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Good morning.
Fine. So this bill is based on a ruling that the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau put out in October 1, 2024, where they put an advisory out asking that medical debt not be included on credit reports, and that the creditors who are looking at credit reports not include medical debt. And so that advisory that was put out in October 2024 went into, was finalized as a ruling by the CFPB on January 7th, 2025. Several states, when the ruling took place in October 2024, put the code into their particular states, and Maryland is just following that pattern.
Thank you for explaining. Is cosmetic surgeries included in that medical reporting?
So the CFB allows for any medical debt that is, that has been reported. Yeah, okay. So they allow for any medical debt that has been, approved by medical physicians. So this bill is not talking about what or what cannot be proven. I mean, what could not be included, but just that medical debt that is approved by medical physicians be not included.
I see quite a bit of testimony here. Did the Maryland bankers, or did they have an opinion on this?
The Maryland bankers, what did they say? The Maryland bankers.
I see about 40 pages of testimony here.
Yeah, we don't have anything to show that they weighed in.
Oh, I see it here. I got it.
Yes, it does.
Down here at the bottom. It says opposes the bill. Okay. Thank you for explaining. I appreciate that.
Okay, thanks.
Recognizing the delegate from Frederick County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also have a question. Just under, are we still doing where the hospitals need to report information back as far as from the commission?
No.
That was all taken out?
Nope, that is not included in this bill. This bill is, yeah,
Each
they cannot report any kind of personal information.
Oh, no, that's not what I'm saying.
Oh,
Each
okay.
hospital annually shall submit to the commission at times prescribed by the commission. I'm talking about the commission and the information that they're looking at. The total number of patients by race or ethnicity, gender, zip code, residents against whom the hospital or debt collector used by, it's like they're collecting information on who owes the debt.
I'm not familiar with that part of the bill. Let me see if that says that.
Okay, well, if there is a commission, and
Oh,
those
okay,
things
okay.
are.
So they're saying that this is current law, this is no change to that?
Okay, if there is any part, especially about medical debt that we're collecting in legislation, I would also add age to look at. They're not looking at, because the age.
That would be another bill for you to submit, because this bill is not addressing that. This is
it's underlined.
keeping with current law, is my understanding.
It's reporting information, adverse information.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if there are reporting, I just want.
Yeah, but if you want an amendment, we would have to address that at a different
later.
time.
But yeah, age is an important factor, as many older people and younger people get into medical debt, and that's why I'm struggling with how I'm voting on this. So thank you for clarifying.
Is there any further debate?
Mr. Speaker.
Recognizing the minority leader.
I would very much like to vote for this bill. I think it's a wonderful thing to help people who have suffered through potentially cancer or catastrophic event in their life. They accrue this medical debt. They don't want their lives to be ruined by it. But what I can't do, I think there's a great deal of ambiguity, and I think my friend from Montgomery County just sort of confirmed that. There seems to be a great deal of ambiguity about whether or not you can go out and take cosmetic or elective surgery, which generally is done through a private pay or circumstance not covered in most cases by insurance. You can choose to engage in whatever that process may be, and then you can decide, I'm just not going to pay you. So I'm not going to pay you, and that debt is essentially going to be wiped away and will not show up on my consumer credit report because it is quote-unquote medical debt. Because that issue appears to be clearly be ambiguous in the law and in the bill, I can't support the bill, but I want to make clear that I think very many of us would like to help people if it could be drafted in a more finite way to eliminate those circumstances, to prevent medical debt, which is truly associated with a disease, an accident, an incident, from ruining your financial life. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
So I would like to respond to that, just to be clear that the CFPB is very clear what this guidance is based on, what is elective surgery versus cosmetic. Elective surgery is not the same as cosmetic surgery, and so the CFP allows for elective surgery, not cosmetic surgery. But also, in reading, as I alluded to, this is, law that other states have followed based on what the CFPB, and that's the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, if people don't know the acronym that I'm using. And also, if you read, too, that in the wording of our legislation, it does say that Marylanders who are providing, Maryland banks and financial institutions who are providing credit may consider these things. So it's not a shall, and so please take that in mind. Thank you.
Committee Chair.
Speaker, thank you. And I do want to just provide a point of clarification. My wonderful subcommittee was discussing that elective surgeries there's two kinds of surgeries. There's elective and then there's urgent. And so if I set out a surgery to get a cancerous mole removed, that's still an elective surgery. So this does cover elective surgeries. All right, and when we talk about cosmetic surgeries, that's also a cosmetic surgery. If I get a skin graft because I got a burn, it's a cosmetic surgery. So that's why this bill is not there to define those. What it does define is this open and closed-end plan, meaning if you get a credit card solely for the purposes of getting, I don't know, let's say my vice chair wanted to finally get his ears taken care of, and he gets a credit card to do that. Now, I don't mean that in a bad way, but he gets a credit card to do that because it's a cosmetic surgery. And I'm not talking, then at that point, that would not be covered under this bill and that would not be protected. But if you go out and incur debt specifically for that kind of voluntary cosmetic surgery, that could still be disclosed, but only if there's a credit agreement or a credit card that you're using specifically. Because many of these services, they operate, they give you basically, they give it to you on credit. So if you go get some kind of surgery that way, well then this would not protect you. That would still go on your credit report. But I just want to make sure elective surgery is understood. Elective surgery is something you plan the next day. That doesn't mean, so those are included in this. And cosmetic surgeries can also be included in this bill. Thank you.
Recognizing the delegate from the Eastern Shore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to speak on the bill because I'm going to be voting against it. We're not talking about relieving medical debt. I mean, there is a policy discussion. I think it's an important one that can be had that relates to our citizens that are burdened by the cost of health care generally, but medical debt very specifically. The bill before us is a subject related to credit reporting, and my understanding, and I think we all generally understand, that a credit report is a statement of fact. And that statement of fact is used to make lending decisions, including mortgages and any other type of products, car loans, et cetera. And I want you to consider through the lens of the banking industry that makes these decisions, who later come back through and get regulated by federal government obligations as to the quality of their lending decisions. Remember what this credit report is. It is designed to be a tool for someone to make a decision, and when we're masking or hiding the reality and the facts that relate to a person's situation as it relates to debt, it will lead to negative conclusions when it comes to issuing new debt that maybe the person can't afford, and or a lending institution or somebody who's making a credit decision, that it becomes a negative outcome. And I'll close by just saying I have to oppose this bill because we as a legislature are making a decision to hold information back that is necessary and is frankly part of why we have credit reporting agencies to begin with.
Committee Chair.
Thank you, and to my former committee member, wink. I have to strongly disagree with my colleague because we're talking medical debt. What if you blow out your knee? I mean, these aren't almost all the medical debt that this covers, in fact, all of it, is when you don't know, you can't predict. This isn't by poor planning. And medical debt is a very poor predictor of whether someone's going to repay a loan. They're not doing this on purpose. If something happens to your child and you have to take, and you go into debt, or you owe an ambulance fee because you simply, that was not something under your control. That's a very poor predictor of the fact that you're a risk. There are people that incur hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. They don't walk in doing it voluntarily. They don't do it. They're not being lackadaisical with their finances. They just can't avoid it. This is unavoidable. And so we want those folks to be able to participate in our economy. And able to do that, in order to do that, we have to make sure that this does not show up on their credit, because we do want them to continue working, and we want to make sure that their lives go forward because of some tragedy that they had to deal with. We don't want that to stop them from being able to be successful. So for all those reasons, I would disagree with my colleague and say that this is a good bill and it's a good idea. Thank you very much.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes, recognizing the delegate from Dorchester County.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to actually speak in favor of the bill, and I want to say this for this reason. We had a few years ago where it was brought to our attention that air ambulances were charging $40,000 for a one-way trip to Baltimore. And that's the reality of it. That's just not just in the state of Maryland, but nationwide. And we try to do something at the federal level, but you never know when you have a private air ambulance transport you. You don't have an option. And so with that being said, I don't know who can afford $40,000 bill and just be able to pay it. So, I mean, the reality of it is when you're in situations, in some medical situations, there's things that you can't afford. I could have found myself in that same situation back in 2017. All I cared about was that my son was transported. I didn't care what the ambulance was, really didn't have an option. But thankfully, he was there safely at shock trauma. But I couldn't imagine that being on my credit report for my son, my husband and I to continue to pay a $40,000 bill. Certainly we would try, but there's not an indication of that I can't afford, take care of my bills. So thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just wanted to shed some light that it's not always an option.
Delegate from Eastern Shore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me close by saying I don't disagree, and I said it at the outset, that medical debt is a serious problem and a difficulty. The solution is not through the passage of this bill, though, and that's why I'm voting against it.
Is there any further debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their votes? Does anyone care to change their votes? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 101 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 1020, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 1080, Local Government, Local Personnel, Leave with Pay.
House Bill 1080 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? Recognizing the delegate from Harford County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Could the floor leader rise for a few questions?
Floor leader.
Happy to.
Hi.
Morning.
So I was chatting with my county, and we were curious, is there something in code now that prevents counties or municipalities from providing paid leave for disaster relief?
I am not 100% certain that there's anything in there that prevents it, but this is just spelling it out and being clear as to what can and cannot be allowable. And again, this is all, nothing in here would mandate that a county has to do it. It's just giving them the option.
Yeah.
That was an amendment that we accepted from MACO and MML.
Yeah, I saw that. That was a good amendment. So when we discussed it, they couldn't find anything that said that they are currently prohibited from already doing this, but they did have some concern that this would, as you said, sort of regulate who they would be able to send and make them essentially sort of outsourced to the Red Cross for a kind of approval process. Is that your read of the bill as well?
No, that is not. We specified some examples, but they have the ultimate authority to decide.
So it's your belief that despite a very lengthy list of qualifying factors, that these are not required should they decide to, use this piece of the code? They wouldn't actually have to do any of these things?
I'm just pulling up the bill here to make sure. I'm not certain the answer on that one. I can try and get you an answer if that's acceptable.
Okay, that I appreciate it. That's all the questions I have.
Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I love the idea of this. I love that our counties and our municipalities are willing to send folks out when we have disasters. My concern with the bill is just going to be that it may actually restrict who they would be able to send, because there's a very lengthy list of qualifying factors here, and it also seems to outsource some of that decision making to the Red Cross, and so I will be red. Thank you.
Is there any further debate on this bill? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 125 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 1080, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 1116, Public Safety State Clearinghouse for Missing Persons.
House Bill 1116 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 135 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 1116, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 1344, Department of General Services, Assessment of State-Owned Facilities, Child Care Centers.
Mr. Speaker.
Just one sec. We'll get to you. House Bill 1344. 1344 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? Recognizing the delegate from St. Mary's.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Could a floor leader rise just for a quick question on this bill?
Floor leader.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, this bill is amended, so what does it do now?
It's a study bill, essentially. It allows Department of General Services to just study the facilities that are in their care. So it doesn't affect, MDOT or any of the higher ed buildings, just buildings that are in the care of Department of General Services.
For the purposes of what? It says child care centers.
Yep.
So we're only studying to see if state buildings can be used as childcare centers? Isn't there a role for the private sector?
I guess it could be.
So would the state buildings then be landlords?
No.
What would they be then? Would they sell the building to the child care facilities? What do you hope to do with this study?
That's not the purpose of the study. It's just to see if they could handle or have the capacity to be a child care center. If you have a bill that would do that, you should bring that next year.
I'm still trying to figure out the purpose of the bill that you amended that you're speaking on. So is the study just state facilities just as child care centers, nothing else? Would these child care centers be eventually ran by the state? Or is the state becoming the landlord? That's essentially my question.
Well, Department of General Services, in a way, is a landlord, and they care and maintain all of our state facilities currently. It's checking to see if they have the capacity. We are under capacity for child care centers across the state currently, but right now it's just a study to see if we have the physical capability for child care centers.
Okay, I appreciate you answering questions. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Recognizing the bill sponsor.
The amendment actually deletes the fiscal note. So it actually reduces it so there is no fiscal note. To answer your question on what the amendment does?
To be perfectly honest, I guess my concern is that we have a lot of these bills and studies that come out, and you're starting to see that the state government is starting to creep into the private sector. And to me, child care facilities are better owned in the private sector by taxpayers.
That's
and
not
you
what
have
the bill does.
well, that's what the study is.
No, it actually isn't.
One at a time, please.
All right, so now I'm really confused because that's not what the floor leader said. The floor leader said, and maybe I heard him wrong, I heard that this bill is to study the potential use for state buildings as child care centers.
The state is looking to see if there is any available space to address the child care crisis that we have going on in the state as well as the nation. So this is just an assessment of available property. That's all it is. And then that property at a later date can be used for child care.
I'm not prepared for that. All right, I think we're straight. My concern is again that once again that the state is creeping into the private sector. The problem when we offer a government solution for everything else, once the government solution is offered, then there is no private solution. Government runs everybody out. That's my concern with this bill. I'll be voting no on it, but thank you for the clarification. I do appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Is there any further debate? Recognizing the delegate from Harford County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Could the floor leader rise for a couple questions?
Hello.
Hello, how are you? Thank you. So after this study is done, is it possible that these facilities could be used to help out with our public school situation with the preschool classrooms?
I imagine it's possible.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
Mr. Speaker.
Oh, recognizing the delegate from Cecil County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have some concerns on this bill, and I'm going to pose a question. So in my former life, I actually managed a daycare facility for the federal government, and it was for members of Congress and legislative branch employees that had children of daycare age. So there's within the federal government, there is currently a ban on co-locating daycares in federal facilities as a result of the Oklahoma City bombing. So if we all remember back to April of 1995, there was a blast that occurred. 168 people died, 700 were injured, and there was a daycare co-located within the building. And that's led to a prohibition of having daycares in the same facilities as office workers. So I'm just concerned, is that something that is going to be covered in the study? Are these going to be standalone daycares? Because it sounds like it's a co-location.
I think your question's around security. Is that appropriate? Not to put words in your mouth?
Yes.
Security will be part of the assessment. Just to be clear, we have a massive need in childcare right now. I believe our comptroller released a report, you all should check it out, on that the lack of access to affordable childcare is pushing a lot of Marylanders out of the workforce. So I thank the sponsor of the bill for bringing forward an innovative thing for us to study, whether the state has a capacity to lease space for childcare centers.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that intent, and I will be supporting the bill. I just wanted to have on the record that these should not be co-located together with adult staff. These should be standalone facilities. Thank you, Mr. Floor Leader.
Hope you participate in the study.
The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 122 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 1344, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed.
Mr. Speaker. Over here, Mr. Speaker.
Recognizing the delegate from Baltimore
I'm
City.
not sure what's happening today. I think I maybe have too much coffee, but I'd like to be recorded in the yay for HB 797. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker. Yes, delegate from Eastern Shore.
Yeah, a vote change, HB 972 from yay to nay.
Mr. Speaker.
Delegate from Western Maryland.
Green to red on House Bill 1344. Thanks.
House third reading calendar number 32. The clerk will read the first bill.
House Bill 56, Procurement State Department of Education Local Food Purchasing Program.
House Bill 56 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 135 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 56, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 123, Maryland Correctional Training Commission membership.
House Bill 123 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 135 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 123, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 268, Hospitals, Financial Assistance, and Collection of Debts Policies.
Mr. Speaker.
Just a second, I'm calling you a second. House Bill 268 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? Recognizing the delegate from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a couple questions for the floor leader, if I could, please.
Floor leader.
Good morning.
Good morning. So can you explain this bill and tell me how it works?
Sure. This bill alters hospital financial assistance. Hold on a second. I need to be able to see this
Sure.
clearly. Thank you. Alters hospital financial assistance and collection of debt policies, including requiring a hospital to reduce a patient's out-of-pocket expenses for medically necessary care by a specified percentage based on the patient's family income. The bill prohibits the hospital from filing a civil action to collect debt against a patient under specified circumstances and increases the number of days from 180 to 240 before interest payments on the medical debt may be assessed, or a hospital is authorized to take civil action to collect the debt. Bill also alters notice requirements for hospital financial assistance policies and alters the monthly payment amount for income-based payment plans for medical debt.
Okay, so this bill restricts the actions on hospitals may take to recover medical debt, which, if I'm not mistaken, in turn increases uncompensated care. Is that correct?
I'm sorry? There may be an effect on uncompensated care, but it's better than having the medical debt.
Okay. And if
Bad
the,
debt, excuse me, bad
if
debt.
the uncompensated care increases, how is that handled? How is that funded? Who covers that bill?
First of all, I want to let you know the hospitals support this bill.
Sure.
The uncompensated care would be handled in the same way that it is under current situation.
Yeah, frequently the hospitals don't really mind as long as they get paid. My question is who foots the bill?
They get paid by the HSCRC. It's part of the budgeting process of the healthcare.
Through which program? Through which program?
Global budget, that the HSCRC, the hospital's global budget.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. Brief comment on the bill, if I could. So sometimes we get these bills which have a fiscal note that's accurate, but if you read it closely, I think it illustrates a bigger issue with the bill, and I'd like to just briefly read a small part of the fiscal note on this, Mr. Speaker. This bill restricts the actions hospitals may take to recover medical debt owed by patients, which in turn increases uncompensated care by potentially significant amount, and hospital rates from which uncompensated care is funded. Hospital rates are paid by all payers in the state. As such, expenditures for healthcare insurers, Medicaid, and self-pay patients will increase. However, the amount of any such impact can't really be estimated without knowing the total balance of the medical debt owed by each patient. To the extent that hospital rates increase, Medicaid expenditures increase and federal matching revenues increase accordingly. This fiscal note illustrates that these expenditures might be significant. So I think the premise of the bill, I get the sponsor's intent, but I think the expenditures in this bill, which the fiscal note actually says are significant, are likely to cause the state to have significant expenditures in the future, and that's why I'll be a no today, Mr. Speaker.
Recognizing the committee vice chair.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the gentleman for raising the question. However, that question was raised in committee, and right now, hospitals are already writing down some debt. So what this bill does is it standardizes the amount of write-down based on income. So the range prior to this bill was somewhere between 0 write-off to 70% write-off, I believe. And so what this bill does is says there's a floor at which every hospital has to write down debt based on income. We did check with HSCRC around the uncompensated care issue. It will not influence their or cause the hospitals to lose any money, and they will be fully funded for uncompensated care as they are now. So there's no expectation that it will really increase because they were already doing it to some extent, only at different levels in each hospital. I hope that helps to clarify.
Is there any further debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their votes? Does anyone care to change their votes? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 111 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 268, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 334, Work Group on Newborn Nurse Home Visiting Services Establishment.
House Bill 334 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? Recognizing the delegate from Harford County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Could the floor leader rise and just tell me exactly what this bill does?
Good morning.
Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning. Thank you for the question. So the bill, essentially as amended, just studies all of the various programs that we have in the state, is looking at how best to service those programs, looking at workforce shortages, and then ways that we can actually fund them. We know here in Maryland we have a problem, particularly for black mothers and brown mothers participating, having children. We know that we want to make sure that our programs are aligned with best practices, and so that's what this work group is set to do.
Okay, so you've changed it to a work group, and so the fiscal note probably is not going to cost us $8 million now.
No, there is no physical note at all. So what we were able to do is find a nonprofit to be able to facilitate the work group, and we'll have a report this December.
Okay, that's good. I appreciate you answering the questions. I had just have in my brain on the Judiciary Committee, I think whenever I see like a home visit of any kind, I just want to make sure people understand that, you know, having a newborn baby is a vulnerable period, and a lot of people that I know and a lot of communities don't always want the government to come and help them. It makes them very uncomfortable to have the government show up and say, hi, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. So just something to think about as the work group continues.
Is there any further debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 113 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 334, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 437, Criminal Law Visual Surveillance with Prurient Intent Modifications.
House Bill 437 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 136 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 437, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed.
Mr. Speaker,
Yes, gentleman from Eastern Shore.
my button didn't work on 334. It'd have to be recorded in the red. I'm sorry, correction, in the green.
Gentleman from Eastern Shore.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to change my vote on House Bill 189 to a yay, and also House Bill 943 to a yay also. Thank you.
Recognizing the delegate from Baltimore County.
Mr. Speaker, I had a similar button issue for House Bill 1344. Please record me as green. Thank you.
Delegate from
Speaker.
Baltimore County.
Thank you. 972 and 609 in the green. Thank you.
Any other vote changes? All right, House third reading calendar number 33. The clerk will read the first bill.
House Bill 468, Petitions for Emergency Evaluation, Arnaud and Magruder Memorial Act.
House Bill 468 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 136 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 468, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 514, Health Occupation State Board of Chiropractic Examiners, Revisions.
House Bill 514 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 137 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 514, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 729, Public Health Use of Opioid Restitution Fund and Training under Overdose Response Program.
House Bill 729 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 137 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 729, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 756, Petition for Guardianship of the Property of Alleged Disabled Persons, Stay of Civil Actions and Proceedings.
House Bill 756 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone wish to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 137 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 756, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 848, Health Insurance, Adverse Decisions, Notices, Reporting, and Examinations.
House Bill 848 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 137 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 848, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. House third reading calendar number 34. The clerk will read the first bill.
House Bill 406, State Board of Examiners for Audiologists, Hearing Aid Dispensers, Speech Language Pathologists, and Music Therapists, Appointment of Hearing Aid Dispenser Members.
House Bill 406 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 137 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 406, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 604, Criminal Law, Financial Exploitation of Vulnerable and Senior Adults.
House Bill 604 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone wish to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 136 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 604, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 936, Health Insurance Cancellation and Non-Renewal of Coverage, Require Notice.
House Bill 936 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 136 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 936, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 939, Maryland Commission for Women, Maryland Collaborative to Advance Implementation of Coverage of Over-the-Counter Birth Control.
House Bill 939 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 102 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 939, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Report of the Rules Committee, report number 2, recognizing the majority leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move switch to reading of House Bill 1503. We consider the reading of all the bills on the calendar.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Oh. Okay. Recognizing the majority leader to read the. Oh. Okay. The clerk will read the first bill.
House Bill 1503, re-referred to Appropriations.
Recognizing the majority leader.
All right, one more time. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So much be considered the reading of House Bill 1503 be considered the reading for all the bills on the calendar.
So ordered. All the bills are re-referred to the appropriate committees. That ends the work at the desk. Committee announcements, appropriations.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Appropriations Committee will have a supplemental budget briefing at 1:30.
Judiciary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, House Judiciary Committee will meet for bill hearings at 1 o'clock.
Environment and Transportation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The House Environment and Transportation Committee will meet for bill hearings at 1 o'clock with a goal of finishing up by 4 p.m.
Ways and Means.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Ways and Means Committee will meet promptly at 1 p.m. for bill hearings.
Economic Matters.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The House Economic Matters Committee will be meeting at 1 p.m. for bill hearings. Thank you.
Health and Government Operations.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Health and Government Operations Committee will be voting at 1 p.m. and we will immediately, when we're done, go into hearings, and we will finish at 4. Thank you.
Judiciary Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Judiciary Committee may have a voting session depending on the length of bill hearings today, after the bill hearings.
Recognizing the delegate from Baltimore County.
I have a vote change on HB 972 to yay. Thank you.
Subcommittee announcements. Recognizing the Vice Chair of the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In light of the fact that we will not be here tomorrow, the Natural Resources Subcommittee will meet Monday, 2 p.m. by Zoom. Thank you.
Recognizing the delegate from Baltimore City.
The Health and Government Operations Subcommittee on Health Occupations will meet 10 minutes after the end of session. Zoom.
Recognizing the delegate from Prince George's County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Public Safety Subcommittee will meet on Monday at 4 p.m. via Zoom.
Over here.
Recognizing the delegate from Southern Maryland.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Racing and Gaming Subcommittee will meet today via Zoom at 12:15. Thank you.
Recognizing Chair of Rules or Subcommittee Chair.
Rules, I'm sorry, I didn't get up earlier. The Rules Committee is meeting on Monday at 3 o'clock. It is bill hearings, and it will be in the Economic Matters Committee room, just as it was last Monday. This Monday, 3 p.m. Thank you.
Chair of Health and Government Operations.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On Monday at 11 a.m., the Health and Government Operations Committee will meet for hearings, Monday at 11 a.m.
Mr. Speaker.
Recognizing the delegate from Frederick.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Government Operations and Health Facilities Subcommittee will meet this Monday at 9 a.m.
Recognizing the delegate from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Civil Law and Procedure Subcommittee will be meeting Monday at 11 o'clock a.m. and we need a quorum, so everybody on civil, make sure you're on at 11 o'clock. Thank you.
Any other subcommittee announcements? Recognizing the Vice Chair of the committee.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The House Appropriations Capital Budget Subcommittee will meet on Monday at 3 p.m. in the committee room.
Recognizing the delegate from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Education Subcommittee is going to meet sometime soon, either Friday or Monday. I encourage the members to keep their mail, keep an eye on their mail. Thank you.
Any other subcommittees? Recognizing the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The House Criminal Law Subcommittee will meet Monday at noon on Zoom.
Delegation announcements. Caucus announcements. Oh, I'm sorry. Recognizing the delegate from Montgomery County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Montgomery County House delegation is not meeting tomorrow, but colleagues, a heads up that several of our municipal elected officials are in town today and are in our delegation room over in the House office building. I think they'll be there about noon today if you want to stop by to say hi.
Delegate from Eastern Shore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Eastern Shore delegation will not be meeting tomorrow.
Any other delegation announcements? Caucus announcements. Recognizing delegate from Anne Arundel County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Fire and EMS Coalition will be meeting Monday at 3 p.m., second floor of the Senate. There's also a Zoom option as well, Monday, 3 p.m. Thank you.
Delegate from Prince George's County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a delegation announcement. The Prince George's County delegation will not be meeting tomorrow. Thank you.
Recognizing the delegate from Frederick County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Maryland Legislative LGBTQ+ Caucus will not be having its normal bi-weekly meeting on Monday. Just check your email for information about the work that caucus is doing for a press conference this upcoming Monday. Check your email. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Any other caucus or delegation announcements? Recognizing the delegate from Prince George's County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Latino Legislative Review Committee will not be meeting tomorrow, but we will be sending out a form, so please look out and please vote on those bills, and we'll get together on Monday to review and let you know. Thank you.
Recognizing the delegate from Anne Arundel County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On Monday evening, we will have a special tribute to the 6888. That was legislation that was passed a couple years ago on behalf of the Veterans Caucus. So Monday night at 8 o'clock, there will be a resolution made. We established a commemorative day of March 9th. So we'll be recognizing it on March 10th, Monday night, and there will be a number of dignitaries that will be here as a part of that ceremony. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Any other delegation announcements or caucus announcements? Recognizing the delegate from Baltimore County for the Women's History Moment.
Thank you so much. Mr. Speaker, colleagues, all right, this one's going to be fun because the woman I am recognizing today is a lot of fun. And so we're going to do this with a game. Women's History Month is about honoring women trailblazers and celebrating and observing the roles of women in our history, but also in our contemporary society. So the woman I am honoring tonight is bigger than life. And I went around and spoke to a lot of, I hesitate to use the word old timers in Annapolis, so please don't be offended. I didn't even talk to you, Marvin Holmes. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker, about saying the delegate. To get some information that might be clues to her identity. So it's not going to be hard because many of you know her, so don't jump in too early. So I will give you a little bit to begin with. This woman is a lifetime Baltimore County resident. She graduated from the Community College of Baltimore County. She worked as a child life coordinator, don't start yet, at the University of Maryland, St. Joseph Medical Center for 30 years. She was first elected to the Maryland House of Delegates in 1994. All right. And she's held so many positions and won so much recognition that I couldn't finish that entire list before sine die, so we'll move on. This woman's greatest accomplishment, however, is being a true advocate for her communities, her state, and her county. So here are a few of the fun clues. Some may be apocryphal, but I'm not sure that they are. She always has an amazing sense of humor and can brighten up a room. She is kind to everyone. She is here for, these are what different people said about her. She is here for the right reasons, never just herself. In her district, she's tireless. She attends 12 national night outs every year in about 3 hours. She is very proud of the singing deer head that she has in her office. Nobody got that one? All right. She starts eating hot dogs at 9:30 a.m. on every holiday occasion. She threw herself in front of a bulldozer to save a local park. She is a champion for people with substance abuse. She always keeps her word. She puts numbers on her citations when she gives them out so that the recipients can play the lottery. All right? Now, these are true. She once, maybe this is true, maybe it's not, but a lot of people said it. She once withdrew her own bill on the floor of the Senate so that she could make it to a party. She wore a tutu on her birthday, which is 2 2222. Right? She spent her 70th birthday at Talladega. All right. She hosted weekly bipartisan happy hours. And in school, this is what she's most proud of, she says. She won an award for having perfect handwriting. All right. She is, and always will be, the prime enforcer of Animal Print Tuesday. All right. And, here, hold this for me, sir. Delegate. She loves to sparkle and shine, all right? January 7th of this year, Baltimore County, which has no, and Healy, has no women on the Baltimore County Council, but we swore in our first woman as county executive. So congratulations to County Executive Kathy Klossmeyer.
Personal or guest announcements, recognizing the delegate from Baltimore City.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I stand today to introduce and recognize the National Association of Women in Construction, Baltimore area chapter. For over 50 years, NAWIC has played a vital role in empowering women to seize opportunities in the construction industry. Whether through career development, establishing valuable networks, mentoring, or continuing education, the NAWIC has provided a wide range of avenues for women to grow professionally and personally. Today we celebrate NAWIC's ongoing commitment to fostering leadership, community involvement, and educational advancement for women. As a part of Women in Construction Week, we take the opportunity to honor their contributions and acknowledge the significant impact they continue to make within the construction industry.
Recognizing the committee chair.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I like the guessing game, so I'm going to copy that. So today I am honored to get up and recognize the doctor of the day, and he's the longest serving physician in the history of the Maryland General Assembly, 24 years. He led 139 bills that were enacted into law. He's currently serving on the State ER Wait Time Commission. He's doing volunteer clinical work in rural areas, and he is going to be celebrating his 50th wedding anniversary on June 1st. Has 3 adult children and 4 grandkids, and he is Dr. Dan Morheim.
Recognizing the delegate from Baltimore City.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I know you guys have been watching your protocol calendar and have been buzzing in anticipation for tonight, and it's finally here. District night for the Fighting 41st District out of Baltimore City. I know you all are so wonderfully happy that we're able to celebrate today. So in all seriousness, we will have District Night in room 170 in the House Office Building, and permission to use the delegates' names?
Permission granted.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of Delegate Rosenberg and our second newest delegate, Delegate Stinnett, we invite you all to join us for wonderful food, great conversations, some entertainment, and time to learn more about what's going on in Northwest Baltimore. So I hope to see you all out there. We'll have some soul food and some kosher food for all the folks to join in today. Thank you very much.
Recognizing the delegate from Montgomery County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Expanding on the earlier announcement from my delegation chair, colleagues, please join me in welcoming today many of the hardest working public servants in Maryland who are representing their communities every day and reimagining tomorrow where the rubber meets the road in the 160 cities, towns, and special districts throughout our state. They were in the gallery earlier. I'm not sure if they are still here, but we were joined by local government officials from the Maryland Municipal League, led by City of Frederick Mayor Michael O'Connor, and over 100 attendees and many mayors wearing yellow scarves representing the Maryland Mayors Association, led by Mayor Travis Marion of Rising Sun. And they're here for the 2025 Municipal Advocacy Day, so let's give them a warm welcome, our partners in local government.
Recognizing the delegate from Frederick County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Frederick North Star Leadership Initiative is a leadership development and mentoring program for Blacks and African Americans in Frederick, Maryland. In this program, participants obtain greater understanding of themselves and their community while building and expanding their networks. They gain service-related skills and knowledge, and they determine opportunities open to them in the community and create a plan where they can achieve their goals. We have several participants with us this evening in the rear gallery, this morning in the rear gallery. Please welcome Malcolm Brown, Lauren Burks, Precious Johnson, Jashawn Swan, Journey Wiggins, who are accompanied by community leaders Dr. Denise Rollins, Ellen Etzler, and Gan Sampson from the Mayor's Office, and County Councilman Cavante Duckett. Please welcome them.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes, recognizing delegate from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of the District 10 team, we cordially invite you to our District 10 Unity Team Night, which will be held on Monday, March the 10th, from 5:30 to 8 in the Senate Office Building. We will have food catered by Class Act Catering, fellowship, and connection. So please stop by, greet our constituents coming down from Baltimore County. It will be a delightful time. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Recognizing the delegate from Prince George's County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. It's AARP Advocacy Day in Annapolis. Please help me welcome members of AARP and particularly the AARP Suitland, Maryland chapter, which is headquartered in District 25 and boasts over 400 paid members. I am one of them. Chapter 939 is the only chapter in Prince George's County and the largest AARP chapter in Maryland. Let's give them a hand.
Any other personal or guest announcements? Recognizing the delegate from Baltimore City.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Permission to use the delegates' names?
Permission granted.
Thank you. Colleagues, please join me in welcoming some incredibly dedicated community leaders from South Baltimore with us this morning. We have Jan Evelyn, Pastor Billy Humphreys, Peggy Jackson-Job, Tracy Garrett-Rogers, Raheem Brown, Sean Murphy, and Crystal Branch. Please join me and delegates Lewis and Klippinger in recognizing our constituents.
Recognizing the delegate from Prince George's County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It gives me great pleasure to recognize my good friend, the Howard County State's Attorney. I got permission from them, from the Howard County State's Attorney. Well, he is the Howard County State's Attorney, Rich Gibson. He's here for Omega Psi Phi Day. And he also, yes, definitely deserves a round of applause. He also had an opportunity to hear a bill that he had me to do on behalf of Howard County, who lost a firefighter, HB 943. So he had an opportunity to see that bill pass on third reader. So thank you. Welcome, Rich.
Any other personal or guest announcements? Recognizing the protocol chair.
Come on down, you sunshines. Colleagues, haven't they have done a fantastic day today? I just want to thank you all. I want y'all to thank them today. I'm not going to announce them today, but I want y'all to just thank. We didn't have but 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We didn't have but 6, and they worked their self out. I'm trying to get the right words, Mr. Speaker. But please, y'all, please give them a good hand. They did a fantastic job. Just the total of 6. Thank you, Sunshines. You can be dismissed. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And y'all have a great week.
Quorum call.
Mr. Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their presence? The clerk will take the call.
Mr. Speaker, I'm sorry my button is not on.
Okay.
Thank you.
The clerk will take the call. There being 135 members present, the House is still in session. The chair recognizes the majority leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the House stands recessed until Friday, March 7th at 8:30 a.m. for a pro forma session. Legislative date, February 27th.